Hello, everyone. We are back with the gang. It's so nice to see everyone here. We've got Danusha and Ida and Hamid and Barrett, Randall, and myself. The TAO group finally reconnected. It's been a while. How are you all doing? I'm going to just toss it at somebody here. Hamid, how are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I don't know if I have to just say that or should I continue? I don't know. So I'm just gonna let it.
All right, we'll go with pretty good for now. Ida, how about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I would say currently pretty good. I'm with Hamid.
Even though you're in different parts of the world, you're with him. I got it. Okay.
He's my soul brother. Yeah.
Randall Kaiser, nice to have you back.
Well, fuck, I don't want to stir the pot here and talk about, something higher and in a different cast and a spell cast than very good. So I'll just, pretty good. So I'll just say I'm pretty good too.
Standard pat answer. Thank you very much.
He looks like Dr. Phil today. I don't know.
Must be the hat. Barrett, how are you?
Yeah, I feel really great. I feel so alive and so privileged to be here with these testing times, and just feel great, really. And yeah, great to be here.
Love to have your calm presence here. I can feel it every time you talk. It's wonderful. Thank you for being here. And Danusha, tell us not only how you are, but how things are going in your world, and anything you'd like to share with us, and then we'll just run with it from there.
Wow, throw it all on to me last.
Yeah, you betcha. Just keep it on while I got you.
Well, it's nice to be at reunion. We haven't been together for absolutely ages, so there's only a few of us, but nice to be here. I'm everything. I'm a bit of everything, and I'm a bit sensitive, so I'm like cuddled up and giving myself this self-love, self-care. That's it. I am everything. There's many things going on around me, of me, through me, not just energetically, spiritually, but in the 3D world as well. So, well, I'll just let the conversation go. I'm sure it'll be thrown in, unless you want me to actually start something and just see.
If there's anything on your mind that you'd like to start with, go for it. Otherwise, yeah, I can toss a question out, whatever you like.
So we do have to be careful with words, because this is going on the tube of you. Well, me and Barrett were chatting earlier, and it's and me and Randy were just talking as well the other day, and it's just knowing that this time, and I think this is where people have to have that awareness, if they haven't got it already, that the next few years are going to be challenging. And I'm not putting that as a fear base or anything negative, but within that challenge, this is where our love comes into it, our attunement, our awareness. And for us to be there for the people, that's what happening one-to-one in our personal lives, or just know what we're here for and what we're here to give, and that we are here for support. Ultimately, that we've all got to reach out. It doesn't matter how love light you want to vibrate out, or people talk about this fifth dimension. It doesn't really matter. We still need assistance, and we still need aid, support. If it's a conversation, if you feel like you need to shut the curtains for a few hours on the world, because you need to recalibrate, get back to a neutral and a clear, focused way. It doesn't mean you might be happy. It might be you're not sad, but at least you can come back to that neutral space to take a breath and then just continue in the best way that you know how. And if that is back to your bubbly light self, vibrating with great energy, then you do that. But it is very, very challenging. Especially with the liquid going in the arm. And I know people talk about consent. I also believe that there is a lot of non-consent, because it's not full disclosure, it's not truth, or all the fear base. And so it's actually, what does that mean when we say we consent? So I know when we've seen the truth of communities in the past 18 months, I even see it now, people that apparently are awake or aware or light, they're still bullying people that they believe haven't woken up, or start mocking them. So it's again, well, can you see how you're dividing? Can you see how you're separating from yourself? Because it's like you're above it all, but we're not. They're just in their process For example, my mum, she's 94. It is a huge story. She does want to leave this world. She has done for many years. But she's not been given full disclosure in this care home. And she was given 2 of the jibs. Then she was given a pneumonia one. And I went back to them saying, is that a flu one? They're going, no, that's another one. It's like another one. She's 94. She wants to die. And you're just shoving all this liquid in her, a cocktail that you don't even know how that cocktail is going to mix together. What insanity is this? So what's interesting, my sister actually went recently, and I know this will relate to a lot of people in this situation because this is the truth we are in. And they do, is it called a boo? A boo? Should we call it a boo? Because I don't know if I'm going to be challenged with that one, but that additional one was given to her. And she was actually at the same time, my mother, at the same time of them giving that, with not full disclosure, they were going to give her the flu one as well. It's like, how much do you think she can take? Mind you, she wants to go. It's, well, let's pump some more in there then, because you will go. Your heart will stop beating, Mum. But that is ultimately what she wants. But that's really interesting. The speed it's happening, the confusion around it, the not disclosure, the shock, seeing things in people's eyes. It's very, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting right now. So I'll pull back. I'm sure somebody wants to add in there.
Sure. Actually, I think I'll toss in a little bit there too. I was watching a really great but long interview that Hamid and Randall and a gal named Jenny from the south of the US were having the other day. I know Ida watched it too. And I had an interesting thought that came into my mind. As Jenny was sharing some of the things that she talked about in that video, which you can see on Rumble, and we can put it in the description below as well. But a question came up. The question was, what if the so-called awakening, because we've been hearing it so much that, you know, all of a sudden something big is going to happen, and all of a sudden the, you know, awarenesses will be made more clear for more people, and big things are going to happen, big changes and this and that. And I started to wonder, what if that isn't the case? What if it would be more of a gradual thing, where it would be like this year has been, you know, dripping, like basically dripping of bits of information and new things coming about and other things happening. And I thought maybe the disclosure won't be this big, gigantic, you know, ta-da kind of thing. It might actually be more of a little bit at a time type of an approach. So it kind of hit me, interestingly, in the sense of, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen the way, it certainly won't happen the way I think, because it never works the way I think. So it's always a little bit different. But I don't know if that resonates with anybody else, if anyone else has any thoughts or feelings about that. But Ida,
I wanted to speak to that. So
after Hamid, Ida.
What I wanted to say is that, look, where we are right now, as I said in the video that you watched, we are in a place that there are so many things possible at the same point. As in, there is incredible light and incredible darkness happening at the same time, and nobody's stopping anything from happening. Like, everything is just going on its own. And to answer directly to what you said, Michelle Fielding addressed this the best, that things are going to happen locally and regionally, not globally, because what the city of Calgary needs is different from what city of Sydney needs, different from what province of Ontario needs, from state of California does. It's like everything is different. And so the idea behind what the Galactic Federation, and right now there is another higher body called Intergalactic Confederation, and the CEDARS, which is the highest level closest to source. What they want to do is to do this transition with the least amount of casualty and damage. So if there was this global thing, then it would affect everybody and it would be adverse, and it may not, you may not need the same thing that somebody, in San Francisco does. And so what, and I talked to Randall about this, the reality we are in right now, we are in a situation that those of us who trust, like the ones in here, we don't need anything. We already, at a point that we don't need to change a lot of things in our lives or change a lot of processes. All this pantomime is happening for people who have tremendous amount of cognitive dissonance, and I call it Stockholm syndrome afflicted cognitive dissonance. They need everything. And so they need to be forced to do things. And the best example of this is when, she was having a conversation with Michael Jaco, and Michael Jaco said, "What about people who are, taken off YouTube? And you're saying YouTube or these medias are controlled by the good guys." And she said, even that is happening because if there is a good guy is taken off and he deplatformed, all the people who go to that good guy no longer have that source. So they have to go do the research for themselves, which is kind of the point. So people are being forced to do that. So this is a really big part of this situation. And it's really hard to accept it, understand it, but the timeline they have is about this. And if that is respected, then the global changes happen. If not, it's going to be regional, small, drip by drip, location by location, almost person by person.
Ida.
So, Danusha, to your point, I am one of those people that vacillates. So I can be the person who's mocking and shaming, and then the next moment, the compassionate and sympathetic person who understands people are operating in a lot of fear and etc. But there's something that I struggle with in terms of this whole thing about responsibility and accountability. And so this is what I think, and I'm open to thinking other things too. So the fact that people are not doing their research and not getting informed themselves is on them. It's not the person who's putting the jab in the arm that needs to be held accountable. It's us as humanity. Do we give a shit about our own bodies and our own health? Like, what the fuck? Oh shit, I'm sorry. I forget that we can be taken off for these words. Sorry. Why are people just accepting that, oh, they tell me it's good for me, and not questioning whether I should find out for myself before I do that if it is good for me? So I don't let everybody off the hook. It's their responsibility for caring for themselves and their own health. And this is where I don't know. When you say your mother is 90 some odd years, is it her responsibility to be looking into, oh, the staff want to jab me for being here because I'm here right now? Don't I need to ask my kids, or don't I need to look at this and figure out if this jab is right for me? Like, do we put that on a 90-something-year-old? I don't know, but there's part of me that thinks we need to take responsibility for ourselves and our lives. Like, we can't expect anybody else to do that. So I'm on a fence all the time with this whole thing, Like, where is it the human's responsibility, and why are we asking other people to be responsible for not giving it to us? And I had this conversation with Randy about consent because I realized something. So I've been asked by a car mechanic, of all things, if I've been jabbed. Is that any of his fucking business? Sorry, I said it again. No, it's not. So he said to me, I have a request to make of you when you come to get your car. That if you're not going to wear a mask because you told me you're exempt, then you have to stand outside and not be in the wait room with any other people, including my staff. So I said, okay, I can do that, right? Then the next request came. When you come to drop off your car, I need to ask if you're jabbed. And I said, do you know that we have medical privacy? And he said, well, I'm concerned because there's situations at home for me and my staff. And I said, well, how would you feel if I asked you if you were jabbed? And he said, I am jabbed. And I said, I don't give a shit, right? Like, I don't care if you're jabbed or not. That's not my business, right? So it made me realize something about this consent. It made me realize, even if it feels like we have no freedom and no rights because they're being taken away, we actually do. And this is where personal responsibility and accountability come in, right? Because it's not on the other person to give me freedom or not. It's up to me to stand in my freedom and say, I don't consent. I'm not giving you this information. Even if they hold me down with a fucking knee. Oh shit, sorry. Even if they hold me down and they're going to give me a needle, I am still going to scream bloody murder that I do not consent. If you jab me with that thing, no, I am not consenting to this. And that is where my freedom lies, in my choice. And I'm going to stand in it every damn time, whether you jab me or not. So the responsibility for me, and that's why I vacillate between mocking and shaming people, which I'm not proud of. Don't get me wrong. I'm not proud of that, for making the choices to get jabbed, because they are choosing that out of their own accountability and responsibility. So why do I need to feel compassion? They've decided I'm not going to do research. I'm not going to care about my health. I am free. I am sovereign. I have choice. I do not consent.
Awesome.
This is the power, and bringing in what Hamid said and what I've said. This is why we're all communicating, and like what Randy said earlier about awakening, and William said at the beginning how this is how it's all beautifully mulched together. William was saying, you know, the greatest thing is your own internal illumination, which will just go on and on and on, but it's your journey. That's why it's like a ladder. There's so many steps, and we've all got different steps. That's why we've got timelines, you know, the past lives, the karmic resonance, what you're going to bring into the future. So I know my mum's next future life as well. So it all is clear. Seeing the energetics around my mother, you know, the evil entities, the experiment, it all exists. And it's not one way, it's so many ways. And like Hamid said at the beginning, with that lady, Michelle, I think you said, I've heard about her, I think I've seen the odd thing, but there's a lot of following I don't do, because really it's, again, coming back to my own wisdom, my own resonance, my own soul communicating with me. And it always leads me to watch people seek information. And I said this as well ages ago, years ago. I just said, when these things happen, it's not one big thing. It's every street, village, town, region, my street, that street. And maybe it's the consciousness in that street, or the vibrating frequency, ley lines. It's all intermingled. And that's why it's all beautiful. We're all pinging awake. Some are not. Some are pinging asleep to ping back awake. If you want to call it, come back to another time or go to another planet. It's all, the depth of it is so huge. And that's why these conversations are phenomenal, because we all say it differently, a different word. It triggers something. It makes you think. It makes you feel. It makes you, you know, maybe not want to listen. You might like, I don't agree. But yeah, it's all of everything. I love that. Yeah.
It's a big pot of soup. And it's good. It's different every time you dig in. It's always a
Yeah.
different combination of veggies and things, you know, you just have a different set of circumstances, no matter what kind of environment that spoon of soup is in. It's fascinating. I'm going to pick on someone because no one's actually stepping up and feeling the need to share, but I'm seeing Randy's eyes light up. So I wanted to pick on Randall here for a second.
Oh God, thank you guys. Yeah, you know, I love listening to you guys because, you know, I'm so involved in, you know, the purple pamper. Okay, this was a new one that came to me today from one of my friends in Calgary, because the ex-mayor who resigned, and we know why he resigned, just like we know why the integrity commissioner at the corporate city of Calgary resigned, and we know why the city police commissioner of the corporate city of Calgary resigned. They're feeling it, and they're scared themselves because they know damn well what's going on, and they're scared shitless. They probably aren't sleeping very well at night, and not scared of their own demise in some Nuremberg trial or something like that, but scared because they know now that they made decisions that were not good for the masses, you know, like they were not. And now they don't know what to do. So it brings me to what Danusha was talking about, and that is like the idea of being here for them, okay? We're here for them, just like we're here for the people that went through the experimental process, you know? Because they're just people, and they didn't know what they were doing when they did these things, when they made these choices. They were just following along rules and stuff like that. So the amount of resilience, the amount of patience that it's taken for us who have never bought into this thing from day fucking one. And we can drop that word, but we can't drop the C word or the V word or those words, but we can drop the F bomb if we want, Ida, so it's okay. But you know, like the amount of resilience it's taken us to not get angry, to not get frustrated. And we've all dropped out of it. Don't get me wrong. I've cut loose myself many times, you know, but that resilience to hang in there. And, you know, my focus, like, you know, besides diverting into the mayoralty thing, just to try and see what I kind of hornet's nest I could stir up over there, which I did many times. But you know, the banking side and the structure of this whole monetary system, which is a world construct, a man-made world construct. So whatever value we put on it, doesn't matter. It's still just a story and a narrative. You know, the amount of patience that it's taken in that, oh my God, like every freaking day I hear positive news from my people. And how can you still hang in there after years of it, you know? Well, it's because, you know, that's the only way through this, is to just be persistent, be resilient, be patient, be loving. And loving is the key word, because we're going to have to love all these people that are resigning because they're scared shitless, because they don't want to be blamed for something that they really were not really knowing what they were doing either. So, you know, it's a beautiful time, you guys, and we are the authentic ones, and we are the ones that did not buy into this narrative, who are here now to lead, and you know, lead in various ways with some Ida power or some Barrett calmness or whatever. So I'm going to turn it over to Barrett now and we would go from there. Thank you, guys.
You just been tossed the ball, Barrett. Go for it.
Thank you, sweetheart. I mean, all I can say, you know, I mean, words have limitations, but your intention is paramount, and the observation, and to try and become an observer of the game, because I think it's just a game that's happening, and try to stay as neutral as you can, which can be very testing, of course, because you want, you know, the good and bad, right or wrong, you know. But I can only say what's working for me from my perspective, and the feedback I'm getting from this energetic body, is that there is a storm, undoubtedly, and to stay calm is how well do you know yourself? And the more you understand the essence of your own spiritual evolution and why you exist, I feel that less can be said, and you can put out a very powerful frequency that will alter the state of the consciousness which is around you, because the more conscious you become of your own, what you're in terms of what you're because you're leaving a very powerful impression. And I've noticed that, I don't mean to pick on Randy, because what Randy's doing, and we're all doing in our own versions, is it keeps it very simple, very down to earth, and you can see how humble he is, and you can see how calm he is, and he's really enjoying the person he is. And I think the more you find yourself in this nightmare of a situation, and you take ownership of knowing the essence of who you are in the game, that is a very powerful signature, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm giving people a lot of space, because if I start taking side, like when I'm talking to people who've taken that, and I'm literally, from an empathetic point of view, I understand why you did it, but how do you really feel deep down? I mean, have you really looked into yourself? Did you really need that? And so you kind of add another dimension to the way that they're interpreting, because no two beings are the same. No two being, everyone's interpreting information based on their level of what level they're at. So yeah, interesting times, but I'm extremely optimistic from my viewpoint of what's happening around me and the kind of impact I'm having. But it's not so much like I'm showering people with so many different variation of words, but just walking the talk from the point of view that I'm comfortable in myself. I love and I connect. My day begins with gratitude, and I say a lot of thank yous. I think most people would struggle to say one or two thank yous a day, but I've got a long list of thank yous, and I want to take the opportunity to thank you all, and thank you for inviting me and to be part of this great move. And I'm just excited about what's happening. Hope I said the right thing.
Thank you, Barrett. That was wonderful. I just wasn't sure when to jump in there, but it got me thinking a little bit too, with regards to a couple of things that I've seen this week. I'm a person who follows a lot of different channels, if you will. I'm actually a subscriber to a guy named Kyle Cease. I've mentioned him once or twice in the past, I'm sure. He said one thing interesting in his Wednesday call this week, which I thought was kind of pertaining to the subject matter that we're talking about here. And that was interesting. It basically said, can you be okay with things being unresolved? Because we are in that space. We're in that space of upheaval, like, at least for a lot of people, it seems to be that way. Certainly it is for me, where things are just changing and things are popping up that you haven't looked at or dealt with, or you're really staring a lot of the ugly things in your own life, in your own experience, in the face too, because a lot of times just the circumstances of what you're in can bring you a lot of these kinds of things to look at. And so he said, can you be okay with just sitting in your unresolvedness if you have anything that's unresolved, rather than trying to egoically figure it out, or even ask for divine guidance for how to be with it? Sometimes it's just okay to be in an unresolved state and be okay that it's unresolved, whatever that issue is. So I thought that was kind of fascinating too, in the sense that we don't always have to come up with a resolution or fix things or make things right. That maybe it's okay to be in a space of unease, not disease, but unease, where things aren't smooth sailing and things aren't perfect, and there's a lot of question marks, and there's a lot of things that are left unknown. And I don't know if anyone else has anything that resonates with them. Hamid does. So
this is it's interesting, because I am going through a transition in my life, outside the collective transition. And I spoke about this with Randall and Jenny the other day in our video. The other day I was in a situation, and I literally caught myself armoring up. I felt energetically like, and I felt I'm losing myself. I'm starting to like, hey, where did I go? Where did Hamid go? I'm losing myself. I'm not there anymore. And this was the first time in my life, in like 50 years, that I could actually detect that like in real time. And then I felt that, and then I felt that, and then I started doing all kinds of, I started doing almost psychic surgery on myself. I started breathing, I started touching myself, I started pushing my different parts of my body. And then while I was doing this, I finally had this song starting playing in my head, Richard Marx song, Oceans Apart. And then I came and sat here and started watching it on TV and on my monitor with the lyrics. And it basically was exactly what I was experiencing. And I wept and I wept and I wept. And it was incredible, the wisdom that I got. It was because of my ability to sit in that unresolvedness and being able to help myself while that was happening. And then the other day, another situation happened that I was in a situation of conflict with somebody. I said something and their reaction was very like almost unnecessary with a sort of a negative reaction they had. And again, for the first time in my life, I felt that I'm like, ouch, like I'm the thing that I had not noticed before, that these negative experiences I had, I felt that negative experience and I caught it. I'm like, wow, that really hurt. But then because of my own access to my own power, I almost felt my rage welling up against this sort of infraction, but I also were able to hold myself down. So it's like both the situations were like something unresolved, something uncomfortable was happening, but what I had was an awareness of what was happening and how to resolve it in myself.
Hamid, I wanted to add a little something there. I kind of felt like it was appropriate to pop this in. You mentioned also in that call with Randall and Jenny that I think you mentioned anyways, it was about sound or a certain frequency. And there was something in there that really resonated with your being. And it was amazing that that could.
No, that might have been Randall.
Okay.
For me, it's actually the lyrics. So I've had tremendously difficult situations in my life since 20 years ago. And every single time there's a song that has brought me back. It started happening when I did a certain geometry. I created what they call an alchemical geometry that completely shut down my system, that I almost felt like I'm dying for about 4 hours. I couldn't sleep. And I talked to a psychic friend of mine in Hawaii, and she told me there was a song when I was in Iran, my sister would sing for me. And the song in Persian is called Tavus, which means peacock. And I went and found that song, and I was literally, for hours, I was dying. My whole system was blowing up. I had very strange experiences. And when I listened to that song, the lyrics of that song, which was something about my loverless heart, is like this is like the peacock's ugly feet. And when I heard that, and this was something that my sister had been singing for me 30 years ago, those lyrics activated something for me. So this has happened about 8 different songs, and each one of them, when the lyrics, that something when I'm in an extremely difficult situation in my life, which I have nowhere to go, when I finally access my guidance, a lot of times that guidance is a song that starts playing in my head. It was when US attacked Iraq, there was Imagine, the song Imagine, that I had heard once, but then when I listened to it, and I wept and I wept and I wept. So every time it's not the, maybe it's the sound or music, but for me it's the lyrics that completely connects to where I am.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarification. And it's still, to me, it's the lyrics, but it's also the words. And someone mentioned in that call something about a frequency as well. And again, I'm not sure who it was, but I found that interesting. And I think the point I'm really getting at here is that I noticed that I tend to follow and watch a lot of the different channels and speakers that Hamid actually follows as well. And just recently, I started watching even Elena Denon and the other gal, Meg, I believe is her name. And
Megan Rose.
Megan Rose, yeah, thank you. And I was surprised, you know, like I kind of thought their stuff was a little bit too far out there for me, if you know what I mean. But I was very pleasantly surprised, like especially with Elena. I was really amazed at the presentation. Like it wasn't just someone talking on a video. It was production quality. It was her being. She was very graceful. She was very knowledgeable, it seemed, very calm, very loving, just an interesting being. And I had really, really good vibes from watching some of her videos. So, but what ties it back into what I was just bringing up was she had made an announcement on one of her most recent videos, maybe her last one actually, that basically said that from her understanding, her perspective, her connections, that all the underground battles have been completed. The DUMS.
That happened about 3-4 days ago, actually. She had
Yeah.
a video that all the Dulce and the Dulce and the Area 51, which were the worst, were just handled. It was done. It was 5% before, but now it's complete.
Yeah, and then she also mentioned there was a sort of a guest voice or a guest person.
The commander, Ardana, which is she's the highest level. She's above Torhan and Lalnek.
Yeah, and they were just basically saying that the idea is that that issue has been handled, but it's up to humanity now to kind of claim its.
So that was actually what I wanted to bring up. What Commander Ardana said, she's Galactic Federation of Worlds, there was a higher entity, higher than her, which is from Intergalactic Federation, Intergalactic Confederation. And they said that this thing, it has certain, Elena called it the squid, and it's actually, she called it, they are negative entities, energetic AI entities connected to Nebu, which is, according to Elena Danan, the Orion Grays. And Intergalactic Confederation has not the technology that can kill this. So, and the fact that the Orion Nebu, Orion Gray mother or queen consciousness was hacked by the Galactic Federation. They no longer have access. They no longer control Earth and other places. And Gene Vico talked about this also. He called this thing Sophia. He's got a much more biblical approach to this, but he said Sophia is hacked. So, and the last thing was that also there's a new internet being developed. And Dr. Michael Salla spoke about that. And President Trump's new company, Truth, could be actually the company that brings out this new internet. But the point is that these things in the arm is actually the worst, horrible technology that the Greys had, and they had created it. But because the AI is dead and the intergalactic thing is now controlling, it has a technology, it kills it. Elena begged not to take this thing. But she said, if you did it, now we have technology to destroy it.
Yeah, and she mentioned also that there was a certain high frequency that's actually being run right now, apparently, as a way to help with that. So I found that all interesting, whether or not I kind of.
And that's actually in the movie Tomorrowland. If you haven't seen that movie Tomorrowland with what's his name? I forget. The good-looking guy. Tomorrowland. There is a frequency, and this frequency, the matrix frequency, has been shut down. This has been told by Elena, by Michael Sala, by James Gilliland, by Gene Decode, by my teacher Colin. This thing has been shut down, and now this high frequency thing that you're saying is in place of it. So
Cool. I found
Randy thinks it's him. The good-looking guy is him. Randy thinks it's him.
What do you think?
Okay, I forgot. Remember George Clooney, the good-looking guy.
Oh yeah,
Good looking
he
at.
can't compare to Randy. Sorry.
Awesome.
Okay, fine.
All right, Randall, jump on it, man. Go for it.
Well, first off, I want to do this because, I always like to break it down. We each have our own story, whether it's galactic or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like the Jesus Christ or Christ the Light story. And when Barrett was speaking, did anybody notice like his light would come up behind his head like that?
Oh.
He'd kind of tip forward and then there was light, like Hoona Flash. Remember our buddy Hoona Flash? So yeah, I just wanted to add to the stories that we all have. And don't get me wrong, I believe that me and Danusha have been talking quite a bit and working on this design work and certification for what we call the DOSM. And DOSM being Divine Order of Santa Maria. So again, there's a queen or a story of a queen, right? And replacing the old queen and stuff like that. So this Elizabeth, she's a queen, right? In this story that they told us on the media and everything. And she's being replaced. And I got this beautiful message back from the man who would be king yesterday, who doesn't really communicate with me a lot. I reached out to him. And this man is another son of Princess Di. I'm going to slip some of this in for, just to get the seed planted, Danusha, because it is starting to open up. I mean, your design work now is available publicly on the web. Like she's exposing it. So this lady that I'm talking about being potentially the new queen, okay? And then the man who would be king reaching out to me last night and saying it's been a while, kind of a thing. Like he's in Russia, he speaks Russian, so he doesn't, his words are just a few text messages to me. But once we opened a dialogue, he said, the Orthodox Church, not the Jesuit Roman Catholic Church, was struggling with the idea that these people are manifesting. Okay, so they're just humans. We're all just constructing a story in my world. Like, I mean, I don't mind the idea of galactic queens and stuff. It's all up to us, to choose. But in this story, these people are manifesting a story, and it's a beautiful story. Danusha and I are a little more familiar with it than the rest of you. But the fact that the Orthodox Church has now come on board and said there's going to be a coronation, and he was oozing with this. He wanted to tell somebody, so he reached out to me to tell me about this coronation. So I verified it with the other lady that we deal with that would be queen, and she was very open about that as well. So whether it's this story, which it is, I'm just saying it's a story, or what William and Hamid were just talking about, it's the stories are similar. And that's what I feel is happening here, is all these, call them timelines, call them stories, call them what you like. These stories from and narratives from various groups of people are all telling the same story right now. And that is that the old thing is over and we're putting in a new one. And, when this new one comes, it's more focused on a golden age, humanitarian peace, harmony, love, abundance, and freedom for everyone, everything story.
So I like the Divine Order of Randall Kaiser, or Dork.
You're doing sign language. Have you been studying sign language, Randy?
I love you, Ida, but here, take this.
That's a bit
Oh,
personal.
Randy,
That's a
you
bit
know I've
personal.
taken
That's
worse
so much
from
love.
you.
I don't know if I can handle it
It
all.
could be Randall Earl Kaiser, so it would be Dorek.
Okay, I prefer dork, but you know, that's okay. I'm here for the humor and levity.
That's awesome. We need that too. We need that. Too.
Can I give a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Give a
And-
little bit. Right, I'll give
And
a
just
little
to
bit.
give a little warning shot, perhaps, or not a warning shot, but just a little how do you do? I know Anya's quietly sitting in the background like she often does.
I know,
We're going to
I've
call
seen
on her
her.
in a little while from now. So be ready, Anya, be ready. I'm not going to spring it on you right away, but I just wanted to give you that little eye opener. Danusha.
I'm going from the last bit when Randy said, not in this, it's literally, I'm going to try to bring everything in from everybody's conversation, that there are so many layers. I know we all, it's the people separate the black hats and the white hats, the good and the bad, not with a whole mulch in between, like we're saying with the suit, with the everything, like Ida said earlier, you know, that I feel like this at times, I feel like that. Like I said, there's times you want to close the curtains. The reality is, and that I see it, when people go on about, you know, like Barrett's beautiful calmness, loving energy, Hamid's lovely connection with everything, self, emotions, the outer world, everything does exist. Oh, hang on a minute, my phone's going, we don't want anybody ringing me now. Can you hear that in the background?
Yep.
Oh, it'll go off.
It's off. It's on.
It's probably the
It's
queen.
It's off.
It's probably the
Queen
queen
ringing
calling you.
I will go back to it. Oh God, just stop it. I'm supposed to be speaking. Stop ringing me. Anyway, I'm going to carry on. Ignore that call. So there you go. Universe is communicating with me. Right. I'm coming back to love. And love is about all these spaces waking up, finding all the loving parts, remembering all this love inside yourself. This is what we're on about: boundaries, consent. Everything's about your self-awareness, self-love. I'm just gonna have to turn it off, but they're ringing me again.
Maybe it's Trump. You better answer
No,
that.
it isn't. I didn't give him my number. I told him I can't share it with him. No, it's too risky. I'll have MI5 watching me. I can't have that. So to me, is the whole of it. We are the love. I know people say love and light, love and light. Yes, we are. Well, we are love and light, but I'm going to go with love and truth. That we are the truth, and we have to remember our truth. And truth comes with the ugly bits, the bits that we really don't like about ourselves, the bits that we feel ashamed about, that we've said something, we've not been compassionate, we felt rage. You're going to be all of it, and you're going to continue to be all of it because you are human. That is your experience through the whole mulch of all the soup. And the more you become aware of yourself, the more then you know how you can be in this world. And that is the awakening. It's the you. That's a remembering of each of your cells. And you become lighter. The space, when people talk about 5D, 3D, it's space. When you've connected with your anger or your rage or the bits that you feel maybe ashamed about thinking about somebody or something, then you weave your way through it on so many different levels that you have to find the techniques, because only you can master your way through it. And that's why having these conversations, and like you've talked about the people as well, Hamid, William, you've mentioned names, you know, all these people are there. We are here. We're all here to stand by each other, hold each other's hand, and we are guiding each other. It doesn't matter what level we're at, we're still assisting each other on this journey. And it's the most phenomenal journey we can ever be on, is existing in this timeline, in this space. So even though I started out, and it is, we have got to face that reality that things are unpleasant. It might be for one day, it might be for 3 weeks, but the knowing that you will get through this. You were never put here because you've chosen to be here anyway, in an essence. And you know that you can navigate your way through. No matter what life's thrown at you in the past 10, 20, 30 years, you've navigated your way through. Even when you felt like, you know, a slug on the floor and you couldn't move, you were depressed, maybe suicidal, you have mastered your way through because you're still here today. Your heart's beating with visions, projects, love, whatever that is. You know, I think such a powerful, you know, I'm glad I'm here.
True, authentic sovereignty. Okay. Just one quick point I wanted to make. When the man who would be king, Alexei, contacted me, my last words were, "Thank you, brother." Okay. We just, if we start to put that class, you know, that spell casting can be putting us in a position. We can accept a position, we can accept our role, but we don't have it chosen by someone else. So if I want to be Lord Randall Earl Kaiser or Lady, well, I can't be Lady Ida. You know, nobody can be Lady Ida.
Or dork, you can be dork.
You look awfully relaxed there, miss.
Thank you.
Well, what you're saying,
That's all I wanted to say.
Well, that's how I see it. And it's even through, if you want to call it the galactic world, channeling world, the spiritual world. I'll just give that example, just jump into Jesus, and this hopefully will help assist people. So, and that's again, knowing your own resonance. And I think ultimately when it comes to self-love, it's certainly trust, and it's trusting in yourself that you know what you are, what you're feeling, what makes sense, the emotions, what's in your mind. Only you know it. Nobody else can possibly do it. But just even going to that Jesus, there was when I first started channeling him years ago, it was almost like you could fall to your knees because the love that is oozing out, it's literally like you just drop to your knees and you just want to like bow, because we're not used to remembering what that feels like here. So sometimes it's so overwhelming beyond belief. And that learnt my journey with him, because ultimately he didn't want to be bowed down to. It's like, I stand by your side as your brother. So when you call for help, it's not like you're begging for help or, oh, please, like you are this other thing. It's like, no, I need your assistance in A, B, and C. Please stand by my side and give me the wisdom and knowledge, and thank you, you know, the hugs and the love. And then there was times I knew then it wasn't Jesus, because I didn't have that overwhelming emotion or the drop to the knees. So then I knew that were darker forces then interweaving, playing games with me, mind control. Again, we all have to learn our own journey. And it forces as well, you know, outside of this universe, what if you want to believe in Pleiadians, Larians, all these energies, they bow to us. And it's not they bow to us like, oh, you know, bow down. They just go, I honor you. And that's the simplicity. I honor you. And we are royalty. They are in awe that we are here. So it's like they're on that ladder, we're on this ladder, but we're all assisting each other. We have to, through to source, down to wherever, to the stone, the 2D, whatever you want to call it, even to the reptiles and the greys, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, we all have our journey. And I've had on my videos, on my show, and I've put in there as a tiny example, if people want to do the forces, that when I did connect this particular, I was doing some art one day, and this grey energy was literally coming through, ugly, putrid. And then suddenly I changed the energy and I infused gold into it. So I was doing the colors of gold, but I was doing the energy, and I was communicating with it. And it was in shock when I infused it with a golden light. If you want to call it Christed light, a loving light, it really doesn't matter. A liquid light, amber energy. It was in shock, and it was in like horror that it didn't know love existed in that manner, because it had been trained in its manner. So this is why it's such a soup. It's so huge that we don't know who is, if you want to call it trapped, being misguided, because we've all had experiences and stories from the moment we arrived here. And even when you were in the womb, you had experiences and stories with your mother, the environment, the energy. So it is so huge. And to get to know yourself in all of it, self-love.
Awesome, Danusha, thank you. I have a note to share here from Anya. She said, hello, everyone. I just moved yesterday and unpacking now. That's why I'm not on video, but I'm listening. However, no information is coming through to share right now. I will hop on if I feel called. So I will respect that. And the thing that came to my mind was the word journey as you were talking, Danusha. And the theme of our call today was journey, as far as where has your journey taken you since the last time we spoke? And it's been a while for some of us. So I know Ida, you have moved to a new location from, this has been months now, but we haven't been talking that much for a while. So how is your new space?
Well, you can see some of it in this, I guess.
And you have a new dog too, correct?
Oh, she's from Nepal. Yeah. She's from Kathmandu. I don't know. It took her 2 days to get here by plane. So you can't imagine.
She had to go past Dog Mandu
Dog Mandu
to get there.
I guess. But she's crazy. Like I said, she's been traumatized, abused. She's torn the frame off of my door. She's chewed through half of a wooden door. She's broken out of her crate. So I thought, if she broke out of her crate, the crate they gave me, imagine she was on the plane in that crate. So was she running around inside the plane, breaking out of that crate in the plane? I have no idea. But she's really something. And she's only 34 pounds, but she's all muscle. She's escaped from the house 3 times, but she finds her way back. So this dog is just something else. In terms of the house, I love the house. It's old. It's like a 1969 house in Canada. So it's built like a little box. Everything is boxed. Everything is boxy, but it's got a really good energy. I've put a lot of technology into the house. Like I've got like a scalar wave thing that goes out 90 feet. So the scalar waves are going to my neighbors as well as in our house. So hopefully it's affecting them too. I put in a structurized water system, and I was told, and I purchased it from the guy who designed it, like what do they call them? Inventors. He told us that it's called 4th phase water. And what that means is it's like nature's water. So all the fluoride's been taken out, all the heavy metals have been taken out, all of the bacteria have been taken out. It's restructured and recalibrated. The minerals are put back in, and there's harmonizers and frequencies that it goes through in order for me to get it out of the tap to drink it. So it's amazing. I've done that part, and then I'm putting, anyway, so my home is wonderful. And we seem to be really taking off here in this new space and place.
Awesome. Well, and then we know about Randall's journey through his mayoralty race in Calgary, and that was a trip. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it, Randall?
Well, wait, William, you're forgetting that Randy has also announced that he's in love, and he's got a girlfriend now.
Randy's always in love.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I mean, he's got it specifically focused on a woman in a romantic sense.
Okay,
Correct.
pass it to Randall to see if he wants to say anything about that.
It's lovely. Yes, she's a little more private. She wouldn't join us today because she's a little more private, but it's wonderful. That's all I wanted to say.
Awesome.
But on the mayoralty side, I'm still the sovereign mayor. I still pick up masks off the street and throw them in the garbage, and I still talk to the homeless, or not homeless people, but the people that are on the streets. And I visit with the security guards everywhere except for City Hall now, because they want to charge me with trespassing, because I just don't believe in their reality. So that is trespassing, and I admit that I'm trespassing on their reality. So that's okay. But otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't have missed it for the world, you guys. And I mean, thank you for watching along, those of you who did and chose to. I had a lot of fun, and you know, I'll continue in that realm, I guess, of the legal jurisdiction a little bit, because you know, I'm going to go down to our rally tomorrow, for instance. It's snowing here today, but tomorrow there's supposed to be some sunshine, so I'll probably go down. And those people were the ones that, you know, I learned about these commissioners that are resigning, along with Mr. Purple Pampers. You know, like it's all being revealed so amazingly. Oh, one other little point I wanted to make on that was that Jim Caviezel,
Caviezel, yeah.
Yes.
yeah, his video was on a page in our local newspaper. I don't know if it was the Edmonton Sun or whatever, but one guy came into a little gathering we had last night, and he told us that he was reading it in McDonald's getting his coffee, but it was in the paper. This story about Jim Caviezel's speech. That is pretty big news. Like, you know, it's slipping out little bit at a time. Because that man really spilled some beans on that video, and for it to come into the, you know, so-called mainstream newspaper like that, I thought that was beautiful. And that's happening just in droves right now. So I thought I'd add that in there too.
Cool. I'm curious about what's going on in Barrett's world. Barrett, you live in a smaller town, and I'm curious as to what kinds of adventures and things have been showing up in your life since the last time we spoke.
Well, it's quiet as ever. Not much happens here. It's like, you know, it's about 48 people in the village, and if anything, numbers are getting less because the majority of people are on the elderly side. So sadly, they've been departing, and yeah, it's a beautiful place where we are. It's just like, you know, loads of nature around us and good air quality, and we're just grateful to be here. Yeah, it's good.
Any inner journeys that you went on since the last time we spoke?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I seem to be a lot more present in myself, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of clearing going on within myself as well, and you know, just, you know, healing, loads of healing going on, and letting go of, you know, past traumas, and that's helped me to go higher. And I'm in a very good place at the moment in terms of how I'm interpreting things and the feedback I'm getting when I'm going to more crowded places. It's a kind of like a barometer where I'm at in terms of how people respond. Whereas before, occasionally people do get a bit abrupt, and I don't have to say a great deal. People have a little bit of resentment because some people think, me, and I look at myself in the mirror, sometimes I've got a superiority complex. It's just like, because when you're so calm and cool, when people expect you not to behave in a certain way, because people do have expectations, especially if it's based on ego. So it's like, I don't do the ego trip so much, hardly ever, but I can understand why people are doing it, because most people are in that survival mode, or whatever you want to call it. But are they surviving? Are they alive? I'm not sure sometimes, because it's like they're just not happy because they're not present, and they need a lot of healing. And so we create that space around us, and we can take a lot of that presentness into places that are kind of shady and swamp kind of places, and you can disperse those energies by just being in your aura and ecstasy of who you feel you are. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Can be testing, of course. You know, I'm not pretending that it's plain sailing, but that's what growth is all about, isn't it? So it's like, when I'm being triggered by certain people, they are my teachers. So, you know, I'm quick to observe that and thank them, because they're kind of representing parts of me that need to grow and become more wholesome. So I appreciate people who do trigger me. It's a great journey.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barrett. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Danusha, I know there's a lot going on in your life right now. I'm not sure how much you'd like to share with the group about it, but is there anything there that you would be open to sharing what's happening in your world?
Always happy to share, you know I am. Well, what I'm going to do is what's come up for me. I think, well, me and Randy said we're going to do a video. So I think, like you've said, about the DOSM, and I think let's do a video and have a conversation about manifestation, what it means when you keep believing in something because it resonates with you, with the timelines of when it's meant to happen. Because we have that thing, don't we? Timelines, people saying this is meant to happen, that's not meant to happen, but knowing you're in your essence and you'll always be in the time that you're meant to be in. It just is. So I think we'll do a good video on that, Randy. But the reason why I'm saying that is the little bit I'm going to share is sometimes we can feel frustrated because things are not happening. A manifestation, you know, it is a powerful thing, but it's also something that is a little bit misunderstood still, because we can still have attachments and expectations when you manifest something. So yesterday, my landlady turned up and said, right, I'm going to give you notice, and explained why. So actually, that's phenomenal. We'll see where I'm ejected, even though I do feel that I do know. That's not the story. But what the story is I've been feeling frustrated. Come back to my presence, calm, love, all that, always do. But it's interesting that he always felt like there was something missing. Now, I watched, I don't usually watch people doing readings of like Pisces, Aries, don't really do, because naturally I do all my own stuff. And I just don't feel to. I mean, I might watch the odd person, but I don't follow. And I watched this lady, and suddenly she was talking about Pisces. That's my sun sign. And she was talking like, it was literally like she was talking to me going, do you know what? You're waiting for something, and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, but you're waiting for this person. And this person keeps trying to figure out how they're going to say it to you, the right way of doing it. They don't want to upset you, don't want to offend you, going on and on like this. And it's almost like if I could find out who that person is, I'd walk up to them and say, you've got something to say to me, just say it. Just get it out. Anyway, don't care, just however you've got to get out. So what was funny, when she turned up and said what she said, she's been doing this for 2.5 years. 2.5 years, she keeps mothering me or feeling guilty, and I'm like, will you just get on and do it? Because my circumstance never led me or could push me into that world for many different reasons. And then when she did what she did, we were hugging and laughing when she left. And she said, it's like, how many people that you've basically been given a Section 21, that's in the UK, to, you know, you have to leave the house in a certain amount of time. And I'm like, yay, and we're hugging each other. And she's not, if you want to call it connected, but she kept saying to me, she said, do you know what? I don't know what it is, but I just know that if I do this, I'm going to open a doorway for you. So it was great. So she couldn't hear what I'm thinking and seeing energetically around her. And I literally just saw this key go in a lock and click. And then I could hear all the other clicks, clicks, click, 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 clicks. So it's just like, I've been waiting for 2.5 years. But that is manifestation as well, because just because we manifest, we still are in this soup, and we are waiting for our others that are in this game of when we go, oh, synchronicity, energetic, we've got to wait for their time and points. And that's why sometimes we can lose faith, or we don't believe something's going to happen.
Yes.
And it's such a powerful thing. But anyway, that's I just thought I'd share that story, and then people can mull over that. So that's my little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Danusha. Hamid, I want to call on Hamid here. I want to touch base with Hamid a little bit more and find out his journey.
Interesting, because you know, my life is all about synchronicity and all about spirit talking to me and winking at me. And through Danusha's thing, it was just happened, because I'm a Pisces and I'm going through a huge transition right now. And we live in a house that has a landlady. I may have said this to Randall privately or may not, I don't really know. but our landlady is kind of crazy. She has a daughter. She has a 21-year-old daughter. That this daughter took this thing, and then after one day she got sick, and she was sick for 1 month. And then after 1 month, they told her she's gonna have MS for the rest of her life. 21-year-old girl. But that didn't stop our landlady to go get her V. And 5 months ago, or 3 months ago, she asked us that if we want to stay here, we need to give her a certificate that we have the V. And this is in Mexico, right? This is in a tiny, small town in Mexico. And this woman, after her daughter getting this thing, required us to show a proof. And so I showed her proof. You know, I know Photoshop, and just leave it at that. And she's an idiot, and you know, and I know how to do this. I'm Persian. My partner is Russian. You know, we are not Westerners, so we know how to play, how to game the system. Let's say. And then so our lease ends this December, and this is a really beautiful house. And you know, I mean, right now I live in a town, you know, compared to where's Randy. I live in a town where temperature is 26 degrees, and I'm in a beach that to die for, with the third biggest carnival on the planet. This is where I live. So, you know, it's not exactly, and there is no COVID anything anywhere being enforced. So I have to leave, and so I have to find a place to go, and we have to find a place to go. So that's a huge transition that I'm going through, and I haven't even looked for something yet. But again, where I live, the prices are cheap and the places are amazing. And if this woman wasn't such an idiot, and she hadn't really infringed on us the way she did, would stay here, but we're leaving. And the other thing that which is really, really exciting to me, and William, I kind of, what's the word, exposed you or enforced you or put you in a situation in our last conversation a while back. I do improv theater, and I made you, William, you were in my improv thing. So our improv is now escalated. We do improv twice a week now. And with that, we have a 2-hour thing where Nadia and I, Nadia is my lover, and where we have a teacher who teaches us to do improv, and we do on Zoom once a week, and then we have another improv session the next day. So that's really the highlight of my week. I really love doing that. And the last thing I say is that I just saw James Bond, and it was an amazing, amazing, phenomenal movie that I highly, highly recommend it. We're gonna go see Dune next week. I mean, this weekend on Sunday. And again, going to the movie theater here is like as if there is no COVID, there's nothing, there's no problem. And I've been also watching the Netflix series called Inside Job, which is an incredible, every single episode of this animation. It talks about Illuminati, it talks about the deep state, it talks about mind control, it talks about Manchurian candidates. It all does it in a stupid, funny way, but there is so much disclosure in every fucking 5 minutes of this series that blows you away.
That's even hard to imagine, but you did mention it also in that other interview you did with Randall and Jenny, and that was quite fascinating. And usually the things that you share about, you know, movies that you see aren't just because, you know, for entertainment value. There's also like you mentioned with this last
thing about James Bond movie is that if you have any desire whatsoever to see this movie, I would tell you to go watch it now. Watch it yesterday, because it is the most significant movie in the Bond universe. Because I've been following Bond. I read my first James Bond movie 35 years ago. And I've seen all the movies and I've read all the books. And in this one movie, things that happen to James Bond are so huge that they're just incredible. And guess what? Probably in a month, there's going to be so many spoilers about all these really huge things that are going to mess up the movie for you. And as I said on my Facebook, James Bond is dealing with a mass murderer whose line is in the trailer. He says, Mr. Bond, we both make the world a better place by killing people. I just do it tidier. And he's using nanobots, and his name is Lucifer. I mean, for the love of God, how much more could you be in your face, right? And there is even a scene in the movie that it shows a picture that very much looks like this thing that is going on, that it's on the internet. So it's like, and of course I'm gonna see Dune this weekend, and I know Dune is gonna be chock full of disclosure.
Well, wow. You have a lot of things on the slate and already seen too. So that's awesome. We had a visual on Anya, who's just shown up here, and it's so nice to see her. And I think she's open to saying something here too. I think that was why she flashed her video on us here. Anya, how are you?
Hello. I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
you can.
Okay,
How's the
awesome.
move-in going, and where are you in the world nowadays?
Oh my God. Don't even get me started, because that wouldn't be a short story. I'm not sure when was the last time we spoke, but I believe I was still in Poland at that time, right?
Yes.
About, like, I don't know, 4 months ago or something. So since then, I flew to the States. I was going to stay in Miami for just a couple of days. I ended up staying 3 weeks, or a little bit more than 3 weeks, because things unfolded this way. And right now I'm in Southern California, near San Diego. And it's like, I am basically learning the hard way, but it seems like this is the ultimate way to learn for me. Like dealing with the unexpected, and like accepting that you cannot, at this point, like in this timeline, like you cannot plan anything. And that it is, at times it's so crazy. Like I leave, like for example, last week I was leaving my friend's house in the afternoon, and I was going to another friend's house where I was staying, and I stopped at the store, and I get a phone call, and the friend is saying something, and she's like, "Yeah, you should go to LA." I'm like, "Why?" "Oh, my friend is going there for a film festival. You should go with her." I'm like, "Okay, but I don't know her." "No, you do know her. I'm gonna put you in her." So like 5 minutes later, the other friend calls me, and the next thing I know, I'm going to LA next morning, and this is like everything's unfolding right now. I plan to do one thing, and another thing shows up. So I was going to stay in Miami for 3 days. I stayed for 3 weeks. Then I came here because my friends invited me but I knew that friend that invited me, I knew who he is because I checked on his birth chart, his astrology chart. So I'm like, okay, here we have some karma to close. So I knew something's gonna go down. I didn't know that it's gonna happen so fast, but I still moved here, right? But I'm like, okay, this all timelines with reincarnation, with karma, this is all closing. So it doesn't make any sense. Every single person I was talking to in Miami, they were like, where are you going? What? California? Are you insane? Like the worst place in the United States, except from New York. Like, you're gonna move to California. Like, are you okay with your mind right now? I'm like, I don't like, the only thing I know that I have to go there, right? So I came, here I am, 3 months later, I've already moved like 5 times between people's houses. It's insane. And right now I'm all alone in a house of my Polish friend that she hasn't even moved in here. She just bought the house. She's still renovating the house. I don't even have fridge here, but okay, this is what showed up. So I'm just gonna go with the flow. I asked for on the full moon, on the past full moon in Aries, like on the past full moon in Aries, I was sitting on the beach doing a bonfire with a friend of mine. And I was really planning to go back to Florida and driving because I flew here, and but it was so far when I was staying with that friend of mine. Okay, I'm like, okay, I need a car. So I bought a car. And I'm like, okay, at this point, when we split our paths, I'm like, okay, so this is done. There is no way for me to stay here anymore. So I bought the car. I'm like, I'm gonna go back to Florida because this is the place I really love, right? And we're doing the bonfire, and and I light a candle, and there is also a lot of emotional shit that resurfaced here, like between people, relationships with different people, like but like just human relations and love everything at the same time. And so I'm burning this candle, and I'm like, okay, I need a sign. I really need a sign. Should I stay or should I go? Because I wasn't so sure about this car. It's an old car, blah, 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 right? A lot of things can happen. So I'm burning the candle, and we're there, and literally like, I don't know, 15, 30 minutes later, I'm getting a phone call from a friend that I've only met once on a Polish reunion, right when, in the beginning, when I flew to California. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to talk to her right now because I have this thing going on here. I'm not taking this call. Like 10 minutes later, she's calling me back. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I'll take this call. And she's like, yeah, what's going on? What's going on with you? Like, where? I'm like, no, you know, this is not really working for me. I plan to move to Florida like tomorrow on in a couple of days. And she's like, what? No, you can't. You have to stay here. We need you. Blah, blah, blah. Like, what's going on? You haven't even started with your stuff. I mean, the healing stuff for the people of California that I intended to do, like the family constellation and healing stuff. I came with this huge illusion that I was lured into by the other friend. He was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. You're gonna do great here, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, oh, I'm stuck here. So now it's gonna be so much easier to in Florida to do any kind of events, because here they're still crazy about this old timeline when the vaccine and all that stuff. I'm moving back to Florida. And she's like, no, you cannot do it. Like, you have to stay here. Like, if you need a job, like, to survive, I'm gonna get you a job. I'm gonna get you a room, whatever. I'm like, okay, I guess I asked for a sign and this is the sign, right? So, okay, so maybe I'm not going to Florida tomorrow. And this is like literally day by day, I plan something and something happens, someone calls me, like, that disrupts like any illusions that I have, any plan that I have, like, it's not working. So it's about what Danusha said about manifestation. It shows me, like, literally, like, how different it is, the manifestation and the illusion and the things that you're trying to imagine and you're trying to do and you're trying to force and you're trying, but there is no real, there is no this pure intention, but trying. And this is the difference. And literally every day, I'm being put a fire under my butt to move, because otherwise I wouldn't move. Because like in this first house where I stayed when the friend that invited me, like, I got too comfortable. And it was like, oh, it's cool. I'm in California. Yeah, I'm gonna take the snow. I'm gonna do all those great things. No, bitch, you have to move today. And they literally were like, listen, we like, and it wasn't even him, it was his girlfriend. She was like, I don't think we're vibing. I'm like, where did that come from? I'm like, you think so? Okay, cool. I need to move. Let's move, you know. So they gave me 2 weeks and I just moved, you know, like Danusha with her landlord. And right now, I'm just taking it day by day, hour by hour. And my journey is, I don't know. That's my journey, and that's my that's the thing that I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing something apparently here, because like every person I get in contact with, they're like, who are you? Where did you come from? Like, I see the impact on an individual level of every person that I get in touch with, because I am so open with all of my doing and with the gifts I have, and I don't hold myself back from sharing it, right? And so I get into deep conversations with people, and like literally every person I meet, at some point I get this person emotional and crying and vulnerable and transmuting some stuff, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's the next step, but apparently I'm supposed to be here. So I am here, and just God, please guide me, take my hand, lead me where I'm supposed to be, and that's it. I don't even know what to say. That's my crazy story of the past 4 months. You know.
Wow. I'm sure glad nothing happened in your life. But that was amazing. I guess you're there to heal California. I mean, goodness knows that state needs some healing.
Oh my, they do. But I'm like, who am I just to kill the whole freaking California. It's 10 million people, like 8 million people in all the San Diego area here, right here. Like, who am I? Like, how am I supposed to? I don't even know. Like, what am I doing here?
Whew. I feel like I need to take a deep breath just after
Right.
listening to that. Wow, that's amazing.
Me too. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's that.
Well, it's good to see you, and I'm glad you're able to kind of check in and give us an update on your crazy world right now. And who knows where it'll lead you, but we'll keep in touch and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'll definitely be on the next calls. Like the previous calls, like they were out of my perimeter of visual, like it was not aligning. And today it was like, okay, I saw the email, because many times I didn't even see the email. I saw the email, I saw the other email. Okay, it's in my attention, it's right in front of my eyes. Maybe I won't be able to hop on, but I'm just gonna listen. But here I am.
There you are.
Always like unexpected.
Well, it was awesome to have you. It was awesome to have everyone here. A quick little thing about my life, and then I think I'll wrap it up unless anyone wants to say anything. And of course, we'll hand it to Randall for his blessing to wrap things up too. We always like to end with that. As for me, yeah, I guess I'm like a combination of some of the stories you've heard. For months, since June, it seemed like I was in a situation where I was really unsure of whether I was staying in the suite that I'm in here in Vancouver or not. And so it always seemed to come down the last couple of days of the month. Am I moving or am I not moving? Am I going to give notice or I'm not going to give notice, you know? And it just went on like that for every month. And then actually, ironically, the end of September, I actually did give notice that I was going to move out and move back with the folks in the interior of this province. And a couple of days later, changed my mind. And now things have settled for me. So things are much calmer. I've gotten the volleyball league going, which is the business I do here locally. And it's been an interesting journey too, because we are on the vaccine card system here in BC. So for those who decided to get, the jab, they can participate in, a lot of different things in different sports. And in our league, we can. But the funny thing is, for those that aren't vaxxed, they can't play. And it feels very weird for me to exclude people. So I've done my best to let people know that that's not my choice, but it's just the situation that I'm currently in right now. And I'm going through a kind of a personal battle a little bit as far as whether I need, like I have people that I have communication with that do feel and do say, you need to stand up. This is the time to stand up. This is the time to not be passive. This is the time to not be, compliant necessarily with the mandates from the government, that kind of thing. And then there's another part of me that says, this is all just part of the journey, that this chaos is also part of that. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to jump in. So it seems like on a daily basis, I'm feeling some of that same energy that Anya was just sharing, where, do I do this? Do I follow this plan, or do I follow this plan, or do I do, what do I do? So, and sometimes, that thing I mentioned about Kyle Cease is just about being okay with things not being okay, like just things being unresolved, and I can just be okay with that and be in that space and let it lead me where it needs to lead me, and just go from there. So that's kind of the space that I'm in as far as my world, and I'm still here, and it looks like I'm staying here at least for another 6 months at this point. So, but it is still kind of feeling like a day at a time as well. So that's my update for everyone. And if anyone else has any other comments, otherwise I'm going to pass it to Randall to wrap up the call. Ida wants to say something. Ida and Barrett put up his thumb too. So Ida and then Barrett, please.
Okay, so for all of you who don't know where you're landing or not sure what place you're going to stay, I just want to offer, I have 2 empty bedrooms here. If anybody wants to come and join me in this new house in Ontario. Okay, so there's a place for people to stay that don't know where they're going to land. You can always come and stay in one of my bedrooms. I just have to change the door where the dog ate through.
And so is Ontario the California of Canada? Is that what I've heard? Or-
No, we're the New York, the New York.
Okay.
You're on the West Coast. You're the California.
Gotcha.
We're East Coast.
Awesome. Thanks for that clarification. Barrett, you wanted to say something, I think. Or maybe not.
No, I don't think so, but
Okay.
it's great to be here again, and thank you very much.
Sorry, I saw the thumbs up. I thought that was a
Thumbs
way of acknowledging, but that's all right. Sorry to put you on the spot unintentionally there. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Hamid. Randall, would you be kind enough to wrap up our lovely call with one of your lovely blessings, please?
Well, can I ask Hamid Barrett a question? Barrett, the Bulgarian, for just 1 second, because
Sure.
I was hearing stuff from everybody, and Anya's description was just fascinating as always. I love to listen to Anya, and the idea of knowing that in the 3D, like the existence we live in our surroundings, our home, whatever, we're responsible for that. We've thought about it ahead of time, and now we're there. But the project is, your project, Anya, is to heal California. So get over it, get busy, because that's what you're there for. And I wanted to hear Barrett's just a quick version of how you think in terms of that, like as far as past putting us where we are and being responsible for that, and then also manifesting or co-creating. I like the word, because we're all godly people co-creating a future.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, to really get playful and to try and take, ownership of what it is that you want to. It's important to visualize something that makes you feel alive, and to invite people to share that space, which will ultimately lift them up. And and consciousness, the way it works is when people get zapped and they get excited about something which is going to make them feel more uplifted, then it's very contagious. And physical contact, because I really enjoy hugging people, and because you're also acknowledging that what virus are you, whatever dirty word you want to use, the big V or whatever. I mean, we're more virus and bacteria than anything else. So do we all have it? Of course we all have it. What triggers it? Well, it's a few, half a dozen of the other. And if you buy into the narrative, the so-called mind controllers, and they're doing a marvelous job. We need to thank them for that, and just get over it and just move on. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm not giving the energy, or you're not feeding that. And where the energy, as we all know, flows, you just make it more active. So it's a privilege to be here, and we're putting like a healing dome next year, and we're just inviting people to come and have an experience which hopefully they won't look back in a negative way, and it's just going to uplift everybody, really. So it's a joy to be part of this phenomenal shift, and that's what it is, to a much higher perspective, whether you want to call it 5D, 6D, whatever D. And it's not a place, and I keep telling people this and they don't get it. It's a state of consciousness. Heaven is not a particular place. It's a state of mind. Perfection is a journey. It has no destination. It's infinite. It's not but what I'm enjoying is the fact, and I really enjoy it, the fact that we're not all the same, and we all really want to express our own feelings. And the controllers, they want to put us into certain boxes, and they're doing a superb job. Will they succeed? It's up to you. The decision, it's in your hands. But I'm just so happy that people like us coming together in this form of group and having this very fruitful discussion, because this is altering the state of consciousness. You know, it's, you know, even a group like this will shift, you know, the people out there in so many different ways. So bless you and thank you. And big love and
I
respect.
I wanted to
and
say something.
to me.
Uh,
Hamid?
so yeah, so Barrett brought up a really important word, and that word is invitation.
Yes.
And to me, the whole universe, the whole existence, everything is an invitation.
Yes.
And the idea of invitation is connected to choice.
Mm-hmm.
So you are free to make a choice.
Yeah.
You're free to take something or leave it. And you will not be punished or rewarded. It's not about that. It's about you making the choice. You are
Yeah.
invited to make the choice. And what's happening right now on the planet is those of us who can handle invitation, love an invitation, appreciate an invitation,
Yes.
be grateful for an invitation, and those who cannot handle invitation because they cannot handle choice, that they need to be forced. Otherwise, if they're invited to something, like, you know, if there is a negative homeless person outside, you invite them to your house, and they are not really able to handle that invitation, that may not work very well. But if you invite somebody who is on a better space, they would appreciate that invitation. Some people take invitation as inviting to abuse you, take advantage of you, do horrible things to you, destroy things to you, kill you, steal from you. And some people don't. And so this battle right now we are experiencing, the crux of it, the core of it, the seed of it has to do with invitation, and invitation has to do with how do we handle choice.
Beautiful.
I like to end right on that. Randall, would you be kind enough to give us our final blessing?
Sure. I kind of sound like a broken record, but with peace, harmony, love, abundance, and freedom for everyone and everything every day on my mind. And I think our gang, thank you guys. I missed you, most of you. I've spoken directly with quite a few, but abundance, sovereignty, health, love, and euphoria. Keep having fun, guys. I love you all.
Thank you.
Bye.